We've actually been promising you today on the Urban Playground. In fact, you've joined on the line by a South African sports administrator, as well as a former lecturer, politician, and anti-apartheid activist, PE born, SAFA vice president, and 2010 World Cup chief executive, Daniel Alexander Jordaan, joins us on the line. Welcome to BFM, sir. It's such an honor for me to talk to you.
It's a pleasure, and it's nice. I'm here in Beaufort West. I'm just listening to your voice there from my beloved city.
Oh, wow.
It's wonderful.
Nice. Take us back to the early 90s when you became involved in anti-apartheid activities. Did it ever cross your mind that one day we will be free from the injustice of the past government?
Well, we didn't even know whether we were going to be alive. But we did shout freedom in our lifetime. But, it was a collective thing rather than individual thing because, when you join the struggle, you know that you may not be there to see freedom, but the country was going to be free. It was tough.
You combined your political and sport interests and you became an activist in various organizations in fighting to break down racial barriers in sport. But what is your fundamental focus and what drives you in sport today?
Well, when we were students, of course, in the 70s, we formed SASO. Malusi and Pumulwana was there. I'm talking from Eastern Cape people now. Pani Pichana was there. Steve Pico was there. These are Eastern Cape people who were instrumental in forming SASO. And then for sport, we formed an organization called SABIC, South African Black Intervarsity Council. Okay, we didn't play a lot of sport, but we had to use all platforms to mobilize against apartheid. And then in 72, SACOS was formed, South African Council on Sport, which was an organization, anti-apartheid organization, to promote non-racial sport. And, Hassan Awa at the time came with the slogan of no normal sport in an abnormal society. And from there, we formed the National Sport and Olympic Congress, which was then later be called the NSC. After we've been to Lusaka, after 1985, 87, 88, 89, many delegations, and in 89, we then, the ANC asked us to start with unifying sport as a precursor to building a non-racial and democratic South Africa. And therefore, you cannot have racially divided sports in a non-racial South Africa. So you should have single non-racial sporting organizations. And that is when we came with the Unity in Sport drive. So that kept us busy. Of course, we then formed all the international, first the national federations, rugby, cricket, unified, football, unified, and then our return to international federations, whether we're International Rugby Board, the ICC for cricket, and FIFA for football. And because we were then also, we started the program of the hosting of major events in our country because it was important to build a new unified nation. And sport, as Madiba said, sport is a glue that binds a nation.
Nice.
And we use these big events to build a sense of patriotism, pride, and unity amongst our people. And the 1995 Rugby World Cup, fortunately, generated such a sense of unity among South Africans because rugby won the Rugby World Cup in 95. Then in 96, Bafana won the African Cup of Nations. So I think our country was blessed. In 94, the first democratic election. 95, the Rugby World Champions. 96, the African Champions. And then we also started the campaign in 97 for the hosting of the Football World Cup. So that's the road we traveled.
Yes. You served in... Unfortunately, it seems we lost him. But we're going to try get him back on the line on Bayfm107.9 because we still have to ask him a lot of questions, man. You know, there's been a lot of talks about the alleged match-fixing saga that, you know, is South African Football Association has been involved in. And also, you know, in fact, it's also been selected as special advisor because of the work that he has done, you know, with 2010 World Cup. He's been a special advisor for the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. And from 389 days from now, the World Cup in Brazil is going to be starting. So we need to ask him, well, what's happening? Because remember, when Africa was given this to host the World Cup, there were a lot of questions.
No one had faith in us.
Yes.
No one had faith in us.
So we want to find out if they have the same thing with the Brazil, you know. But we're going to try and get him on the line. But let's quickly do this.
You're listening to Star and Snatcher on the Urban Playground from 3 until 6. You better tell somebody.
Yes, that's what it is, man. It's Urban Playground on Bayfm107.9. Actually managed to get a hold of the SAFA Vice President, Jordaan. He joins us again on the line. Danny, unfortunately, we actually got cut off there, but it's fine anyway because we managed to get you on the line. You have served in various organizations and boards. You know, no doubt your leadership skills are remarkable. But what do you attribute your leadership skills to?
Well, I think my leadership skills and all of those who came through the 70s and 80s in the days of the struggle was honed by an understanding that we were part of a collective and on the basis that you knew that both your guidance, your support, and perhaps even your survival depended on other comrades around you. So you must work within that collective. You cannot become an individual. But leadership also requires you sometimes to take individual responsibility within that collective. I think that perhaps Nelson Mandela captured very clearly the most important issue. One, commitment. When he talked in the Rivonia trial, he said, I will fight against white racism, I'll fight against black racism, and talked about the ideal of a non-racial, non-sexist and democratic South Africa, and said, it's ideal that I work for and struggle for, and it's ideal that, if need be, I'm ready to die. So that is a commitment. You cannot get greater commitment than that. So one, a leadership must be committed to the task, committed to the vision with its organization. Two, must be courageous, must be consistent. Leadership means also that you understand that it is a team, it's the unit that must achieve, not you as an individual. And if you look at the World Cup was hosted in 10 cities all over the countries. Now, there is no way that one person can be in 10 cities. And so you have to get the buy-in, get a sharing of vision and a shared commitment by people who are heading the operations in those 10 cities. So there must be a sense of belonging to a team.
You know what? You mentioned the World Cup 2010 rather, it was a success, you know, based on you working with other, you know, role team players. But last year, though, you were appointed as a special advisor to the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. We are 389 days away to the World Cup. Is Brazil ready? What are some of the advices that you have gave them?
Well, you know, I just spoke to a radio station and also to the media in Brazil on this particular issue, and strange, they asked me the same questions. And on the 13th of January, it is the start of the Confederations Cup in Brazil.
Yes.
And that will be the test event to see to the extent to which Brazil is ready in terms of its infrastructure, and operational readiness will be determined. Now, Are they ahead of the infrastructure or on a deadline? No, they are behind, struggling with infrastructure. And so the first thing that they must recognize that they have to make sure that the infrastructure is delivered on time. Because you cannot start your operations in the stadium unless the stadium is complete.
Yes.
So they need to focus and fix and complete the infrastructure. The second thing is, of course, operational readiness, and that the Confederations Cup will give them the opportunity to test security, transportation, hospitality, accreditation, transportation, team services, all of those things. That is the opportunity to test it, and we can just hope that they will come through it,
Yes.
and they will be confident to deliver the World Cup next year, because the World Cup is going to be a massive challenge for them.
Yes, especially, now that, Africa at large, we hosted the World Cup to a high standard. So I guess, they also feel that pressure as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because of the social network, Twitter, and people then voted for all of the World Cups hosted by FIFA over the last 100 years.
Yes.
And they voted South Africa's 2010 World Cup as the best World Cup ever. Wow. So it is a huge challenge. Well, now that we have Twitter, everybody can express their view. And I think part of it was the way the people of the country embrace the foreigners. Look, they came to this country, where they were told they must get a strap vest, must get a bulletproof vest, they must worry, those people are dangerous. When they came and found that people were warm, embracing them, dancing and singing in the street long after the matches are over, it was just something that they have never experienced. And therefore, I think their positive impressions, 98% of the people who came to the World Cup said, we'll come back to South Africa. 96% said, we will recommend South Africa as a tourist destination. Now, that is a huge plus for our country.
Wow. No, that's positive feedback, hearing it coming from the world. But there's alleged match-fixing saga at the South African Football Association. Do you think it has dent the trust that global football body FIFA has on SAFA?
No, I think, look, first of all, match-fixing is a $1 trillion industry.
Sure.
Second thing, FIFA is investigating match-fixing in 70 countries throughout the world.
Sure.
It involves Germany, Italy, England, China, Korea, Finland, Bulgaria, Brazil, and I can go on and on and on. So it is a global problem. It's like drugs. It's a global problem. And therefore, we must not feel as South Africans, we are the only ones. But we said, yes, we welcome a judicial commission of inquiry into match fixing. We want the government to investigate. FIFA has agreed, we've agreed. And that if anyone in South Africa is part of that, they must go to jail.
Yes. Talking about government and FIFA, has the agreement been reached between SAFA and the Ministry of Sport as to which task team will be investigating the alleged match-fixing saga?
Well, FIFA, the Minister of Sport, and SAFA agreed in Zurich. They've reached an agreement which they put on the broadcast channels and the media throughout the world, that it will be a judicial commission of inquiry appointed by our President Jacob Zuma, and it will focus and limit itself to match fixing. So we are waiting. That's all we can do.
Just go quickly before we let you go, Mr. Jordaan. Bafana Bafana is faced with forthcoming 2014 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Central African Republic and Ethiopia next month. Do you think that we will qualify? If you do see us qualifying, how far do you see us in the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil?
I think we will have a good chance to go, and not only us, but all African countries. The problem that we always raise is that for African countries because the African Cup of Nations was in even years, in 2010, in January, you play the African Cup of Nations, and then in May, you must go to the World Cup. And that is too much for players. And we ask CAF, please put the African Cup of Nations in uneven years, not in the same year as the World Cup. That's why we played 2013 African Cup of Nations. 2014, there's no African Cup of Nations. The next one is 2015.
So yes.
Oh.
Unfortunately, in fact, we're wrapping up the interview anyway. So no, it's fine. We won't try and get him again. But anyway, actually, he sees that, you know what, we have a potential of going somewhere with the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. But I'm not too sure how far we're gonna go as far as, you know, maybe semifinals is concerned. But
yeah,
we'll see.
But with the pace that we're playing at currently, I think we'll go far as in terms of the stages.
You reckon?
I can put my head on the block as the time progresses as to how the boys are performing and how the preparations are for the World Cup.
Yeah, no, it's good to see that, you know, you're positive about Ibafana Bafana. And I'm also positive about it, man, because, you know, they are actually our pride.